Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason here at New Dimensions Crystals in Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas, right next to the radio station. If you're looking for us, we have a green awning. The radio station has a blue awning. If you're looking for us today, I might not be in the shop. Actually, I know I won't be in the shop. I will be off out of town doing crystal hunting things, perhaps, and catching up on the things I need to catch up on. So yeah, if you're coming in today, sorry I missed you. If you need to make an appointment, newdimensionscrystals.com, book now, choose your appointment. If you've never been here before, choose the cleanse. That's always a good starting place. All right, let's jump right into this report. It is the report for February the 5th through February the 11th, 2025. And as usual, we start. Wow, that kind of echoed off everything. Felt like the table was rattling. I yelled so loud into the microphone. Maybe I should stand back, but I like talking into the microphone. Anywho, yeah, we start with our sun as usual, and the sun has had some active sunspots. If you haven't been able to tell, none of those have sent. None of those have recently sent significant CMEs towards the planet, so there are no incoming impacts that we should be paying attention to, at least not as of this morning when I was watching the space weather. So yeah, no active sunspots. Even though they're not sending CMEs towards us, they still, when they do flare, even though they don't release, they do sort of cause a heightening of, usually it starts to feel like a racing of the heart. So pay attention to that. There is still some large sunspots. They're just not flaring towards us as of yet. And they are turning away from Earth facing and should be gone by this evening. And what else do we have? We have some plasma filaments, one released off of the sun yesterday, not Earth directed also, but there is still some plasma filaments. Usually those are sort of dark thready looking things if you're looking at the typical radar or telescope looking at the sun thingies. And yeah, it was quite large, so that's why I need to pay attention to those plasma filaments because they can release too, and then that plasma would indeed impact the Earth the way CMEs do. There is an incoming coronal hole, dead center disk, looks super dark, or the contrast from the surface and the inner sun is larger than normal, right? So it looks darker. Usually that sort of means that the plasma stream that comes out of that sun coronal hole will be slightly faster, perhaps bigger, right? And so magnetic lock should probably happen sometime today, and usually that sort of causes a heaviness, which causes the Earth's crust to sort of compress, right? So you'll sort of feel sluggish during that kind of stuff, and then if you're anywhere near earthquake eruptive kind of stuff, that might be a thing that sort of happens in your area. People of Santorini are sort of experiencing, just like Southern Africa was, experiencing sort of a cluster of small earthquakes. And so Santorini is an island off of, or a Greek island, not off of Greece. It is part of Greece. At any rate, pay attention to those kinds of things. And a lot of that is governed by not only the sun's activity, but the pole shifts, the geomagnetic excursion, as it were, as the magnetic centers of the North Pole, South Pole are moving. And so even that sort of moving, you want to think of if you have sort of a sphere or a snow globe, when you move the ball, like the bubbles in there sort of move to different places on the surface. Recent studies showed that the magma, the volcanic magma that is underneath the Earth, Yellowstone. Everybody's worried about super volcano there. All of that is moving north, right? So it's moving farther into Montana. And not necessarily anything to worry about that. It's got plenty of geysers and release points, right? And so big eruptions happen when there's a pressure buildup, and there's nothing to build up the pressure as of yet for that. But the bubble is moving north, right? So that's sort of indicative of the planet is shifting, right? And so we reported, actually, lots of people reported the Earth is picking up speed too, right? So not only is it shifting, but it's picking up speed. So I think of those what do they call the gyroscopes? You know, the little exercisers right? So you can sort of spin it, and then as the movement or the spin happens, it sort of picks up speed. Just sort of think of that. And by speed, it's not like we're going to fly off. It's like a millisecond a day, or a couple milliseconds a day. It's not like we hit the gas pedal and we're going downhill. But just those are the things that, as sensitive beings, you might be feeling. So that's what the sun's doing. That's a lot of stuff for the sun to be doing. The sun, in its zodiac, is in the solar sign of Aquarius still. Ankles and lower spine, just sort of the stability, right? Oh my gosh, the planet is shifting and the sun is moving us places. Why do my ankles feel so uneasy, right? It's kind of like being on one of those vibrator plates that sort of shakes everything out of you that everybody's into these days for releasing their lymphatic system. Just sort of think of the balance it sort of takes to sit on that and just sort of or stand on that. You don't, I guess you could sit on it, but standing on it's what you're supposed to do. At any rate, uh, just sort of think of the fatigue that might be happening, right? So the constant readjustment of who am I, what am I doing here, what is the nature of the human soul, kind of stuff that's going on because of the planetary shifts, which is all cosmic shifts and spiritual shifts. It's all happening at once. It's like it's all in synchronicity. Yeah, so that's what's happening with Aquarius. We currently only have one retrograde because we just had a move direct, which I'll talk about on the Wednesday part, yesterday. And so that retrograde is Mars, and Mars is really calling us to examine our intentions, right? Are we getting what we intend, right? And then you got to look at not just what you sort of write on a vision board, but the self talk that you have on a regular basis. And then even deeper than that, where that comes from, right? So we're being governed by our intentions, and sometimes those intentions are hidden from us. Um, Mars is really sort of how can you be more soul based in your career, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that we should all go live in the woods and become mystics. That just means that you should have the care of the soul in mind while you're out constructing, making money. And the idea that we're all divine eternal souls worthy of love and affection as you interact with those that you serve or that purchase or become your customer. And then also Mars is, integrating the divine masculine, sometimes misappropriated as anger or drive or war. So sort of pay attention to that energy in the examination of how that sort of happens, right? So when your intentions don't go your way, what is the level of anger that you sort of carry while you do that? Yeah, fun stuff. Moves us into today, Wednesday, the 5th of February. Uh, Yesterday, Jupiter has gone direct. And so that was a 4 month retrograde, and Jupiter was really about abundance and what kind of abundance we've been examining. What kind of abundance do we desire? And really how we function in the external way, right? So here's what we think, feel, want, and then how are we going to function in the exterior or in the outer world to bring that about was sort of the ideas that were going on with that retrograde. And so usually the idea of abundance and having stuff and people to share it with are the lower chakras, right? So sometimes it's center of the chest and heart, but usually it's solar plexus, like how you can control outcomes, sacral, how who do you have to share this with? And then root chakra, do I have enough money? Do I have enough food? All those kinds of things. And so the idea that this moving direct is really starting to reignite those lower chakras. And depending on how clear they are, right? Depending on how good you did the work over the last 4 months, you could feel defensive, like you got to defend like what you discovered or what you already have, right? And that's really the nature of what sort of culture sort of throws at you, that everything is fleeting and you gotta make sure that you don't lose what you already have. However, the idea of expansiveness is that there's an ever expanding abundance of flow from source, from God. And so the other alternative thing is to seek sort of partners, people to share that with, more people that understand the nature of reality, all the fun stuff. Also, today, Wednesday, the moon is halfway to full, and we are in that 9 universal year. And so, should this halfway to full moon is really sort of solidifying what you're completing, this decade of work on this self, this cycle through expansion. What are you completing, and what do you still sort of have remained hidden away, right? Sometimes this is like, hey, I've got 99% of the job done and that last 1%'s annoying. Kind of like prep work for painting. Like, oh man, I got to clean the walls, do the tapes. Unless you're like super awesome with a brush and you never have any drips and you never go outside the lines, then maybe you don't have to do the prep work. But stuff like that is what's really the things I'm kind of talking about. Moves into tomorrow, Thursday, February the 6th, 2025. And February 6th is really Neptune. Is Neptune is the big influence, and so the 9 universal year combined with the shifting poles, right? We just sort of talked about the the lava, the lava or the magma moving over in Montana in Yellowstone. It brings unpredictability, right? And so really, what Neptune's going to help you do is how does your stomach do when the waters are choppy, right? And sometimes that could be a nice gentle choppiness, but like people who have ever been like deep sea fishing or out in a Gulf, or even people that have been on an extended flight that had a lot of air turbulence, right? How's your stomach holding up? Um, and Uranus, excuse me, Neptune is really going to be about clear communication from soul, like what you need to sort of stay centered, or the nature of how this is supposed to happen. And you kind of want to think this is either getting crashed over by the waves or riding the waves to what's next. Um, and I guess the idea of Neptune is also we are wanting to say the waters are choppy and look outside the self for cause. Um, but that doesn't do anything for the ship being stabilized, right? So the energy of Thursday is really, are you, I'm hiding behind my microphone. The energy of Thursday, it's like not like those mirror things, like, why can you see me? I've got a towel over the mirror. Anyway, are you the captain of your own ship? Like, yeah, there's some shit happening. You're in a sea, but are you going to use this vessel? Is this vessel going to survive what's going down? Or are you going to go, oh shit, you know, choppy seas? I guess I'll just, turn into Gilligan's Island and park here. Could be totally fine. But that's really the question. That's really the narrative of Thursday, right? So if you're like having a come to Jesus moment with yourself, like, what the hell does it all mean? It just sort of means the waters are choppy. Do you want to continue to go through? Or if we are divine eternal souls, worthy of love and affection, and we're interdimensional beings that are never going to die, maybe we just turn our ship into a submarine and go deep. Then we won't really care about the waves. Anyway, get off the surface. Oh, that's not even written down. That's just in my mind right now. Anyway, I don't want to yap on too long. It doesn't look like I've gone too long. Leads us into Friday, February the 7th. And this is really about the choice of what we're going to do, right? Are we going to look at our own gauges and move down our own path using our Mars intentions? Or are we going to give all of our spiritual prana and attention, right? So if you want to think that focus is fuel, then where would we like to focus our fuel? And then how well are we doing for ourselves at replenishing that fuel? And do we want to waste it on the culture that seems to be shifting and or crumbling? Or do we want to turn that energy towards ourselves and sort of understand the truth about what we're developing as a soul? The energy sort of affecting the day is going to be Mars is expanding this heart. Uh, so whatever you decide, so the energy when it sort of expands the heart chakra is that like sort of whatever you decide, this choice point of, am I going to focus externally or internally, or where am I going to send the energy and the fuel to, right? Because whatever I send that to burns brighter, gets stronger, right? So would I rather be myself, or would I rather be the things that I think are falling apart? uh and so the energy of Mars activating the heart is, you're going to be projecting that energy outwards, right? Your decision is going to be evident, right? Are you choosing to get into the diversionary shit that happens to be going on externally and give all of your time to that and stop working on yourself, right? Or are you going to work on yourself, right? Because that broadcast, so it does two things, right? So intention, elevated by Mars, is amplified, right? Because your heart's not a pump, it's a vortex. And so twice a second, boom, 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 it is giving your intentions and your marching orders to your body, right? Which is why spiritual health starts to affect the physical, right? So it's telling your body what you've decided, who you want to be, where you're heading. And so twice a second, it's going to say that, but also the heart, we all know, maybe we don't, is the most electromagnetically powerful part of the body, right? So it's got the largest reach of electromagnetic pulse. So, that's going to be out into the room where you are, right? And so all of your interactions are going to be colored by your decision of, am I worthy of the attention? Am I working on myself? Am I somebody to be trusted because I'm taking care of myself? Or am I externally focused on things I can't control and therefore bleeding energy that is not necessarily wasted, but not used efficiently? Yeah, so that sounds like a fun Friday leading into the weekend. Moves us into Saturday. What is it? What month are we in? February the 8th, 2025. Mercury and Mars combine to make clear your divine messages, right? So a lot of the interactions I have with customers is double checking on the clarity of their own dreams, their own messages, their own guidance, because like most of us, they're getting this like, hey, do this, or I feel like I should be doing that, but they don't know what the result of that is, right? And the clarity is really like, hey, if I continue to do the same thing, I know the results, right? So it's that distance between, and it might even be just slight, direction changes. But the Mars, that energy about who are you? What's the soul sort of saying? What's your intention? And so what's your soul's intention for your life? In Mercury, communication and the ability to act on that communication is really the energy of Saturday, right? So if you're sitting going, what the fuck are you talking about, Jason? Maybe you get an understanding, not from me, but from yourself on Saturday of, oh, I think this is what's going to be the results of these messages I've been getting. If I act on them, maybe I'll act on them and sort of see if that's actually the direction I move. Fun times. Leads you into Sunday, uh, February the 9th. Whatever is keeping you from launching, cast it off, right? So, did you leave the parking brake on when you're trying to back out of the driveway? Um, are you not rising higher because you're carrying too much baggage in your hot air balloon? Are all your jets firing, but you're not lifting off? Maybe, sort of like those things that fall away when rockets launch, or maybe you've been captured by popular culture or people who are popular in popular culture, and something's grabbed your rocket ship and kept you in a holding pattern rather than you launching. That Just think about that when that one sounds fun. I'll just say that without even talking about who you think I might be talking about. Yeah, and so the energy, whatever's keeping you from launching, cast it off, right? You have choice, you have power. So the sun in Chiron is really revealing uh, your hidden feelings about that, right? So maybe you have a feeling or you've had a hunch, right? Uh, and so it becomes clear, like, is that hunch correct? What is that hunch really saying, right? Is it an uneasiness or is it some malfeasance in your world that you need to deal with, or that is like, oh shit, that is the thing that's holding me back, I can let that go? Fun times. Leads into Monday, the 10th of February 2025. um Really, the sun sort of combines with Mercury, also communication but also transportation. uh so the energy of Monday is really, all of this contemplation is good, but if it doesn't bring along action, then it's not necessarily the thing, right? So this is a move or a call or an energy that makes available the ability to think and act, not just think about what you should do. It allows easy movement, and you really want to sort of take advantage of that on Monday ahead of March's Mercury retrograde. Okay? Yeah. True meaning is available. What the hell? What the hell does this all mean? Who knows? That's a lot of data. Who are you, right? So what does this all mean? If you decipher who you are, it really sort of is the key to understanding what does it all mean. And it might be different for everybody. What are we living in independent universes? Anywho, Tuesday, last day of the report, the 11th, 2025. Detach and accept the world is crazy and move forward. Stop trying to make it sane. Right. So previous day is, hey, you're the fucking key. Ooh, I said fuck. You're the key. Tuesday is no shit, you're the key. Stop trying to put the key in a lock that it doesn't open, or stop trying to put the template over something that is not meant to be understood, right? Or tamed for that matter. The energy of the day is really being guided by Uranus and the sun. And the energy, once you sort of decide, hey, I'm going to stop trying to fix everybody else's bullshit or decipher what it is or tell everybody else about why something outside of the self is bullshit. Really, the sun and Uranus are going to give you this optimism that divinity knows what the fuck it's doing and it won't be denied, right? And as soon as you embrace that, even in the shitstorm, divinity has control, and you are a divine eternal soul worthy of that love and affection which that control brings about, then you'll stop worrying that it's doing it wrong or that somebody is misheard, and you'll get to acting on your own volition, despite the world on fire. Fun times. Oh, that sounds a little preachy, but nonetheless, that's the report for today or this week. And you already heard I'd probably be out of the shop today. New to benchescrystal.com. Book now and book a session if you want to. I'm looking for the stop recording button. And of course, I'll see you here next week. Until then, everybody, many blessings. Stop.